Okay, so here we go. Another edition of Yelling into the Void, day one Trump administration edition. First of all, huge middle finger to TikTok for bending the knee and kissing the ring even before this man took office. Like, what was that? You suspended TikTok the day before the ban was scheduled to take effect when Biden said he wasn't actually going to enforce the ban, and then you did this whole rollout ceremoniously saying that TikTok was back thanks to Trump, even though he hadn't even taken the oath of office yet. So that is 100% as obvious and as dumb and as decrepit as you think it is. It's basically just a bribe. It's just corruption. It's corporate corruption, and we get to now participate in corporate corruption. So here you go, corporate corruption, chef's kiss, perfect example. There have been no shortage of executive orders that are alarming and horrifying. Again, as somebody who is in the, place that has just survived horrific unnatural fires, where we were without electricity for a week because the fossil fuel grid created by a utilities company that is not government utilities. It is a private corporation that is traded on the stock market that runs our utilities and gets fossil fuel subsidies and is drunk on fossil fuels. So their grid goes down, our power goes out. We are told that our rates will go up. They were already too high, again, because of dependence on fossil fuels instead of use of wind and solar, all of while we sat in the dark when winds were blowing at 50, 100 miles an hour. That could have been powering wind turbines that could have turned the power back on, wind turbines that could have pressurized water that would have helped firefighters and helped operations. But of course, why would we have renewable energy when the sun shines every day and the wind blows every single year? So there's that, right? So executive orders that are basically saying, like, we're not going to have, investments in wind and solar. We're going to, like, double down on fossil fuels, and fossil fuels are the ones that are actually creating this climate catastrophe, and the utilities companies are super complicit in this. And we're all just paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars every time the utility bill comes in because the summers are hotter and the winters are more extreme, and then the power goes out because of fossil fuels, right? So there's all of that stuff that's happening. And then there's the fact that apparently the 14th Amendment died because Trump killed it and has decided that he's going to kill it. And if you are a super pessimistic person, this is definitely the one that drives you to feel as though all hope is lost, because you imagine that a Trump executive order saying that he's going to do away with birthright citizenship then goes before a Supreme Court, which is a bunch of people that are in the pocket of billionaires and that Trump appointed, and that they're going to support him, and that's going to impact our constitutional rights. I think that's a good reason to have a freak out. Again, it's not ahistorical. Plessy versus Ferguson was decided after the 14th Amendment was ratified. And even though the Kim versus U.S. decision that created the interpretation of birthright citizenship happened only a couple years after Plessy versus Ferguson, the truth is that the 14th Amendment has been violated on numerous occasions, decade after decade, century after century. So there's good reason to be pessimistic. There's also a good reason to break some fucking laws. So, if these laws do go into effect, and if essentially the 14th Amendment no longer applies to me and to everyone else, because our parents were not citizens, were not documented, in fact, sounds like a good reason to get arrested. Sounds like a good reason to shake shit up. Sounds like a good reason to break unjust laws and stand up against unjust laws until we create laws that are just and are enforced and do right by us. And in the meantime, while we're doing that, while we're creating the strength and building the power to win the world that we want to see, which is what we have been doing and what we will continue to be doing, while all of that is happening, I think it's a good reminder to stop and eat. So it's lunchtime, so I'm gonna have my favorite lunch from when I was a kid, which is, these are little peanut butter tacos. Corn tortillas and peanut butter. Why corn tortillas with peanut butter? Well, because I don't think there's anything more perfect to eat that will nourish me and serve as a symbol of resistance than to have a tortilla, which is a Mesoamerican pre-Columbian, pre-colonial food that persists and insists and does not have any signs of ceasing, just like my people, just like our communities, filled with peanut butter, which is the invention of a Black American named George Washington Carver, who at the time of his invention was subject to all of these, again, unjust laws. And the whole legacy of this country, the legacy of abolition and civil rights, the idea of doing away with Jim Crow and doing away with the founding of this country's greatest injustice, this idea of a 3/5 compromise, where right there in paper we decided that people are less than people and humans are less than human. The way that you fight back and give a giant middle finger to the 3/5 compromise and the legacy of that 3/5 compromise and the legacy of, again, people who are white, wealthy men running everything and trying to dictate what happens to the rest of us. The way you fight back against that is you go back to these things. You go back to the things that have been there and will be there. Indigenous people, Black people, communities of resistance and resilience, people who have been in the past, are in the present, and will be in the future. We are not going anywhere. No one can remove us. No one can erase us, and no one can stop us from winning the democracy that we deserve, from owning and holding the land which is ours, from protecting the planet which belongs to us and 7 generations and 7 generations beyond that. We are not abandoning any of that shit. We are not walking away from any of that shit. And so if you want to kiss the ring TikTok, or you want to kiss the ring and be part of this little club of fixation and adulation around Zuckerberg and Bezos and Elon Musk, go right ahead. But know that you are not only on the wrong side of history, but know that you have done nothing more than reveal yourself to be pathetic and sad and a bootlicker and an ass kisser and, a marabou and a toady. There's nothing good that can be said about you. Because on the other side of that, what stands in sharp contrast to you coddling these billionaires and just licking up whatever crumbs they deign to leave for you, there's a legacy of resistance. There's a legacy of genius and imagination. There's a legacy of freedom and opportunity and progress. There's a genius of the fact that, we are the ones that actually always win change, always make change, and will continue to do so. So yeah, Trump is going to do stupid shit. He's going to piss us off. He's going to do it because the billionaires are getting richer as he does it. Watch the money, follow the money, see what happens. See what happens. And see how they try to terrorize us, how they try to divide us, how they try to overwhelm us, how they try to get you to feel like it's all too much and you just want to unplug and just look at memes of cats again, right? And so then it's just right-wing propaganda everywhere and then cat memes, and then that's all there is. But there was a time where things were analog, before the internet, before social media, and people still organized and won. And that's what we're going to do again. So the way that we won before is the way we will win again. And don't be surprised if we have some new things to offer the world. And we are going to be worthy ancestors. And they will look back upon us at this time, and they will know that not only did we not back down, but we played offense. And we put some fucking points on the board. Peace.